Let's look at our next big mistake. Common mistake we see in the getup is missing the sweep into the half kneeling windmill. Okay, so what that looks like. Oh, don't do what I just did. Bring that bell up. Roll to elbow. Press the palm. I'm going to get ready to sweep my down leg underneath, and I get here and I kick this back. As you see, my legs are already on railroad tracks, but how am I going to get underneath the bell now or get back into my upright position? If this was a 48, I'd be in deep doo-doo. Right now I feel this in my hip on this right side, and my low back would really be crying if I tried to stand up or get up from this position. No bueno there, okay? So what we're looking for when we transition from the tall sit is imagining a straight line from my palm to my hip, just kind of cutting straight across my belt line. And what I want to think about as I sweep this leg underneath is placing my knee and my shin and my foot on this imaginary line, okay? Okay, so notice now I have a straight line from my palm to my knee, my shin and my heel, all on a straight line. I'm nice and supported here, okay? My down arm. This arm should be within one torso length of your body or of your shoulder. If I land and I'm up here, not gonna be a very strong position. If I land and I'm too close, again, gonna be out of balance there. So should be approximately one arm length, one torso length away. And this sets me up where I'm ready to shift underneath the bell and pop up into my open half kneeling windmill, okay? Right, so another thing we tend to see from this open windmill position is this foot sort of being out of alignment. Maybe I'm too wide or too narrow, doesn't feel right. One thing we always say, you should never be out of position in the getup, because if you're pausing at each phase in transition, you always have time to make adjustments, right? So let's say I came up and this foot, I'm just way too wide here. Just walk it in, okay? Looking for about 90 degrees on the front leg. And so just square yourself up, take the time. As you're first learning this, take the time, find the positions that feel best for you based off your structure, okay? There's nothing set in stone, okay? We have our standards, right? But at the same time, your body is going to dictate what the movement ultimately looks like and feels like, right? We try to hit certain check marks, check certain boxes. At the same time, every body is individual, and taking the time to find your strongest positions and what feels best is going to pay off short and long term there, okay? All right, so another common mistake that we see is we get from our tall sit, bridge up into the open windmill, and we go on to get into lunge position, and we just do this big windmill up. All right, so going from here, I need to get ready to lunge, and I just start to This move is bad news, okay? So as you can imagine, again, let's say I have a 48 kilo bell in my hand. What happens if I start to lift this hand off the ground? I mean, it's not going to take much, right? To lose that hand and get simply squished under that bell, okay? So we're not going to be allowing that to happen to us. We're going to practice perfect transitions here, okay? So we're in this open windmill position, and what I need to do next is hinge my hips. This is the reason that we come into this open 90s position, so that we could use our hip hinge in order to shift our weight under the bell and get the most leverage possible on it. Okay, so that's going to look like here. Got the bell in hand. I'm going to slide and push my hips back towards my heel, and then I can pop up into my open 90s position. Okay, so from here, I'm just sitting back. Okay, notice how now I'm aligned underneath my load. Don't need this hand anymore because my hips are supporting the weight of the bell now. Hips in the ground, right? Now I can pop up, get my knees on railroad tracks, lunge up, come back down safely. Sorry, fly. All right, so one more time. Keep going from my tall sit, sweep it through. We're not going to just windmill up. We are going to sit our butt to our heel, get underneath the bell, and pop on up into our open windmill. So, next common one that we see is not aligning the legs on railroad tracks prior to standing up with the bell, okay? So what I mean by that here, I should be sweeping my leg or stepping around, aligning my legs on railroad tracks before I step up from the lunge. However, people will try to step up from here, and same thing, the way back down, they'll step back, they'll kind of land here, okay? We always need to get the legs aligned, parallel, and then perform our lunge, okay? That's gonna be our safest option on that. So I'm here, that open windmill, I can sweep, unsweep my down leg, and from there, pulling the floor together, stepping up from the lunge. Okay. I'm not going from here. Okay, just puts funky, unneeded stress in places it doesn't belong. Okay, so come back to this half kneeling open windmill position. Want to make sure again, my hips are open to 90 degrees. I'm gonna have that bell overhead here. When I go to get my legs parallel on railroad tracks and ready for the lunge, okay, I'm doing what I watch for. Of course, I've come up, my eyes have been on that bell. As soon as I get here, the eyes are gonna be fixed straight ahead, okay? You don't wanna be looking up at that bell when you lunge up. Of course, the body follows the eyes, the body follows the head. This extension of the neck is going to put my low back into extension, and again, put stress where it just doesn't belong there. So from this position onward, the eyes are now straight ahead, okay? Next thing here, so on the open windmill from here, as far as aligning the legs on the railroad tracks, you do have two options, okay? So our first option is pretty traditional. It's unsweeping the back leg, okay? So my foot is currently pointed that direction. To unsweep, I'm just going to kick it around. Now it's aligned, heel, knee, hip all in alignment on both sides. Knees are now on railroad tracks. I can step up from a lunge there, okay? The other option is simply to take this front leg and step it around, okay? Again, now I'm on railroad tracks, I can perform my lunge. Okay. Just on the way back down, remember to step back out the other direction, okay? Both options are perfectly fine. It's really a preference thing. A lot of times with the traditional sweep, if you have knee issues at all, sensitive knees, or if you've had any type of knee replacement, knee procedure, the rubbing of the knee on certain surfaces gets pretty uncomfortable after a while, so that's where the option of the stepping around will save you some frustration and some discomfort on that knee, okay? So either one's perfectly viable options there. So we've aligned the legs onto railroad tracks. Got my legs on railroad tracks. Everything is aligned and squared up. Next thing that we'll see here, mistake-wise, is as I go into my lunge, essentially just a typical breakdown of maybe the knee collapsing inward and driving outward. Hips aren't aligned or stacked, okay? So we wanna make sure once we get into that lunge position, I can tighten my glute on that down knee side, make sure my pelvis is level, okay? From there, my back toe, I'm pressing those toes down into the floor, okay? We don't wanna be here, plantar flex, wanna be dorsiflex, pressing my toe into the floor there. Front foot is flat on the ground, okay? Squeezing that glute. I'll pull my knees together, okay, to create some additional stability, and I'll step up from there, okay? Again, just watching to make sure that you're not allowing any funky things to happen here. We're keeping alignment of the toe and the knee on the front foot and on the back foot, okay? So you go to stand up, don't want that foot out to the side or doing anything weird back there, okay? Everything stacked and aligned is key to good execution. All right, so we stood up from our lunge and I'm here at the finish, okay? So stood tall, got my glutes squeezed tight, quads are tight, abs are braced, right? Should look like the finish of my military press. When I go to start to reverse it, again, a few things to watch out for. The biggest one being ensuring that you're taking a big enough step back with the unloaded side leg, okay? So what you want to do, take a big step back and then pulling yourself down to the floor. When I land, got 90 degrees in the front leg, 90 degrees in the back, pelvis is nice and level, I'm good to go, right? I finish working my way down. And what we don't want to see is a short step. Okay, notice what happened there. My heel on my front leg popped off the ground. That's going to put you in a bad position, potentially loss of balance, funky things going on in the hips there, and just a weak position overall there. So making sure that we give ourselves enough room so we can step back and keep this heel flat on the floor. Nice solid base to lower ourselves down from that lunge, okay? Front foot stays flat. One other thing here is, again, make sure that we have alignment, keeping the ankle, toe, knee all stacked here. When I step back, take a look if you have to, but making sure that all my toes are pointed in the same direction, okay? I want to step back and have this foot out here, this one out there, anything funky going on. So don't want to be here, that toe pointed out. Want nicely stacked, aligned knee, toe, and heel. I'm pressing my big toes down and I'm pulling the floor together underneath me to softly lower my knee to the ground. Okay. Now as we work back down, so I've stepped down from my lunge, I've got my 90 degrees up front, 90 degrees in back. Gonna go ahead and sweep back into that windmill position, and just like we saw on the way up, one mistake you can make on the way down is not hinging. Okay, so I'm in that open windmill, my eyes would be on the bell, and this is a mistake. Right, we're not falling over to the side. It's not a lateral lean down. Again, 48 kilo bell. Whoa, no, not for me, okay? So, going to, again, use my hip hinge. I'm gonna sit back towards my heel and look at that. Without taking my eyes off the bell, the ground found me, okay? So from here, sitting towards my heel, grip the ground, I'm rooted, I'm gonna screw my shoulder down, and I'm ready to kick through, okay? So again, don't windmill in or out of the windmill position. All right, last few things are just a matter of being intentional about your practice, right? So just not being sloppy, right? We've come down from this standing plank, right? The finish of the top of the get up, we start to work our way down and then we just get lazy, right? Don't get lazy, okay? Get all the benefits out of the get up that you can. So I've worked my way back down. You hear the tall sit, what we tend to see now, collapsing back down to the floor, okay? That's another big mistake. It's mindless movement, and without mindfulness, you're just exercising, right? We are training, we are practicing, right? So I'm going to be mindful about my movement. I'm going to make sure here that shoulder is rooted, I have a good posture. I'm going to unscrew my shoulder to bring my elbow to the floor, okay? Maintaining my posture. Good alignment here, and I'm going to crunch slowly, curling my way down to the floor, okay? So again, we're not here, and then it's kind of collapsing under the bell. I'm gonna own that bell all the way down by driving this elbow through the floor, keeping tension in this opposite side oblique. Right? Because again, we're training to practice to ultimately move some significant loads. So treating light weight like it's heavy is the way that we make heavy weights feel light, right? So staying tight as you uncurl and come back down to the shoulders is what we want to do. So from there, those are our most common mistakes in the get up. I'm sure there'll be others and you will find them, but keep on practicing, and in time, you shall be a master. Check you later.